Follow your heart. You probably heard that before from your parents or your grandparents. When you're faced with a major decision, someone will inevitably say, you just got to trust your heart. Go with your gut. Follow your instincts, right? But if your life has been anything like mine, there have been times where I've followed my heart and it felt like my heart fooled me or my heart betrayed me. There's the momentary feeling that's good, but then later on you're like, how did I end up making that kind of decision? I've realized that my heart, your heart, is ultimately our emotional center. So reality is when we're making a decision that's based on our heart, we're making a decision based on how we feel, which means we're making decisions based on greed and desire and fear, or maybe even lust, which again are momentary things, but ultimately wear off. And we are going, how did we get here? Well, you followed your heart there in the end. So if we can't always trust our heart, what can we trust? What are we supposed to look to make decisions that we need to make that are big and difficult ones? You probably know where I'm going with this. I think it's God, because I believe that God has a pure and true heart every time. In fact, there was a guy named Jeremiah who was a prophet with the people of Israel, people that were really good at following their heart. Unfortunately, following their heart got them into a lot of trouble. Think all the way back to when God brought them out of Egypt and freed them from slavery. It wasn't very long before their heart told them, we need a physical thing to worship. And so they made the golden calf. Or years later, as they began to form as an official nation, our heart tells us, our gut tells us that we need to have a king. And so they named this guy called Saul their king. And with every time that they do that, their heart betrays them and it all ends in tragedy. And they ask the same question, how did we get here? Well, they followed their heart. So Jeremiah comes among them and he warns them and encourages them to not trust their heart, but to trust the heart of God. And he says that God says that the heart of man is deceitful, that it actually lies to us, and that it's wicked. It desires evil things often. He says who you should really trust is God, because the people who trust God, the people who allow Him to inform their decisions, they're like trees planted along a river, where their roots go down deep into the water. And he says those trees, they can withstand any season that they face in their lifetime. And their lifetime is one of fruitfulness, where they produce and they make something of themselves, those trees that follow the heart of God. But the people who don't, they're like a shrub in the middle of the desert, stunted, limited, alone. And so we have to wrestle with, what do we ultimately want? Not in the moment, but like when we're done with life and we look back on it, what do we want that picture to look like? A shrub that had a very limited existence, or this tree that grew and flourished? The answer to that becoming reality is trusting God, not trusting our own heart. So, in the end, you and I need a new heart. We're all born with the human one, and we all follow it for various reasons and for various lengths of time. But what we're called to is to get a new heart, the heart of God, a decision every day. And when we make that decision, as hard as it sometimes is, because it's different than what we're feeling, it changes everything. So what does it look like for you to get a new heart and trust the one of Jesus instead? That could change everything.